93 come February 21st. And I don't feel it. The wheelchair is not due to any military action or anything like that. It's a matter of lying flat on your back for 2 months and your muscles deteriorate. But we're trying to build it up. And my son there, he is like a DI in the Corps, and I do know what the DIs are like. And he is saying, you can do it. And I am doing a lot of it. I am in a retirement home, and I love the place because I am on my own, and the food is fabulous, and you can't say anything wrong. So any questions I can tell you. I'll tell you number one, was Paris Island. Anybody know about Paris Island, South Carolina? That's boot camp. I got a shirt. It says Paris Island, 1942. And when I was there, the fellow in front of me was rather heavy. I was just like I am now. And I was behind him and he was perspiring, and it was awful to see this poor guy struggle. But I didn't struggle with it. So that's up to him. Now, Paris Island, I remember from 1942. It's the land that God forgot, where the sand is ankle deep and the sun is scorching hot. There's more to it, but I don't remember that part of it. And if you wish, I will have, my son wrote this out, tell you about Paris Island. The other one is, anybody heard of Saipan?
Yeah.
You did? Good. Saipan is in the Mariana Islands. Saipan and Tinian and Rota and Guam, all in that sequence. And when we were going to Saipan, it was one of those things where in 1944, very primitive, and we were offshore 15 miles so that the artillery from the Japanese couldn't hit us. So we come in and we get to 1,500 yards and we get into one of the tractors. And we get into the tractor and we went the rest of the way into the beach, and in between some of the people got hit because the Japanese were just throwing it at us. We get on the beach and lo and behold, a man comes up to me. It happened to be Carlson from Carlson's Raider. He said to me, son, where's the 23rd Marine CP? I said, sir, it's right over the hill over there. And he went over there. And another event after that was a second Pearl Harbor. Nobody ever heard of the second Pearl Harbor because it was 1944 and it was suppressed by our government. We were getting ready to go to Saipan, and we are at Pearl Harbor, and all of a sudden on a Sunday night, the sky broke loose with all kinds of firing. It had been on the dock with all of our equipment. And what it was, remember 1944, the drums were full of 55-gallon drums full of high-octane fuel. And the people there didn't know any better, and the fumes caught fire because they were smoking, and that all went up. But fortunately, there was enough equipment left that we did take off for Saipan, and the rest is history. Now, another one, maybe you ever heard of the Battle of the Smiths, Howling Mad Smith. We are on Saipan. The 2nd Division is on the right going north. We are on the left with the 4th Division, and in the middle is the 27th Army Division. So what happened? The Marines are going ahead like hell-bent for election on both sides. There's a big gully, and the Smith, who was in charge of the 27th, he says, sir, we're going to wait for our artillery to come up. He said, Howling Mad said, no way are you going to do that. So they got rid of him, and then they took off because we were getting our own fire from one side and the other. And the rest became history. Any question? And then another one. was the Korean War, and maybe people remember in 1950, Harry Truman was the president. He said, we're going to get rid of the Marine Corps. We are going to have no more Marines. 80,000 reservists, and I am one, get called up. I looked at my wife and I said, my letter is in the mail. She said, I know it. Tuesday, the letter came. Could you imagine right now, 13 days, pack up and go. And we did it. And we did have Jeffrey already. He was 4 years old, if I remember correctly. And we get down in the barracks at Camp Lejeune. They lit up this part and that part, and pretty soon they had Marines coming out. They didn't know what to do with them. So then they said, okay, hurry up and wait. And when you hear hurry up and wait, everybody just waits and waits. And then they just say, okay, you 95 guys are going into the 2nd Division. I am one of 5 who were sitting there and waiting and waiting. 2 o'clock in the afternoon, they came over and said, okay, you guys, you're going to get on a bus. You're going up to Cherry Point, which is a Marine air station about 50 miles away. We get up there, and we have our envelopes, 5 of us. We go into the colonel. He says, what the H are you doing here? Sir, we don't know. So he looked at his office pinky, I call his secretary his pinky. He said, get rid of these guys. And I ended up in a tactical air control squadron, and I sat right on the airstrip from here to the wall where it says exit. And that was it. And that was when they started with the helicopters. So that was another event of mine. And yesterday, of course, was the 240th anniversary of the Corps. And if they called me today, I could still get into my uniform.
Ask for questions again.
Any questions?
Does anybody have any?
Mr. Garth, what battle were you in Korea? Were you at Chosin or?
No.
Mike.
Here's
Mike.
what happened now.
Take your microphone.
Because I had prior service in battle stars, I was able to stay at Cherry Point and not go anyplace. However, if you know anything about the Chosin Reservoir, and I am reading a book right now, there was a lieutenant, he was a lieutenant colonel at that particular time. His name was Ray Murray. You know Ray Murray? And you know where his flag is? The flag? If you're on College Boulevard, you go all the way to the end until you hit Vandergrift Boulevard. On the left-hand side, you see a flag flying 24 hours a day, and there's a bronze plaque there talking about Murray. And they did over in Vista, I don't remember where, but it's probably a middle school, and he was named with that particular middle school. And when they got to Chosin, it was minus 20 degrees. And they went through that hell all of the time. And you never knew where the Chinese were, because they were in there, they were maybe 10 feet away from you, and all you could do is to shoot at them and hope to come out alive by yourself.
Len, I have a question. Where were you, what were you doing on 2 occasions? One, VE Day, and then second, when the war actually ended in the Pacific. Where were you and what were you doing?
All right, another thing that I want to bring out is if you remember when they landed in Europe, it was June 6th. Saipan was the 15th of June. So everything was all about Europe. Nobody knew about Saipan. But then it turned out when we did take Saipan, 2.5 miles across was the channel. And we got the tip end of Saipan, was able to bomb and all of the artillery to Tinian. And Tinian, if you remember, is where the Enola Gay took off. And in front of the Enola Gay, because all those planes were overloaded, 4 of them went right into the drink. And the Enola Gay took off and the rest is history. How do you know so much about that period of time?
Are
Were you there?
sir? Oh,
Were you
My
history teacher?
yeah, my husband
No,
and I are both,
I'm a former Marine, and I read a lot. And I did have the honor of meeting Ray Murray, and he's a very interesting guy.
Yeah.
So, I still have a question. Where were you when the whole war ended? And when they finally said it's over?
Well, that was probably when Jeffrey was conceived. August,
Well, then I know where you were.
August 14th. So if you can figure it all out, you come out with his date of birth.
So are you telling us now that all it took to end the war was him? That's it? Wow, goodness me. So you were back stateside by the time?
Oh, yeah. I was lucky. And if you remember the dates about Iwo Jima, I was already back in the States. And when they landed on Iwo, it was the 19th of February, 45, and I was already back in the States. My birthday's the 21st. The 23rd Marines, which is the regiment I was in, landed on my birthday, and I think I would have been planted in the sand over there. And if you ever go down to the beach and you get on a little slope and you try to walk in that sand, that's what Iwo is like, I understand. And if you know anything about John Basilone, you see his name on Route 5 when the north end of Camp Pendleton. He had been a hero on the canal. And at the end of the evening with a BAR, and he had an automatic rifle, a big one, they had 26 dead Japanese in front. So what did they do? They were having war bond sales. What better way than bring John back? Here he is, our hero. So he is there, and he did not like it. And he said, I want to go back to my outfit. He got back to his outfit. He's on the beach in Iwo, about 15 minutes, and the mortar hit him. The rest is history about him and his body. So that's a little bit of